to the flow. We was talking about the limbo and pending. Another thing we was talking about recently was like when life is pending, especially you know when you in touch with God and alignment, whatever, you have to evaluate a lot of stuff that's going on to make sure you're even ready for the next chapter. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes we can get frustrated with that waiting period, that limbo period when you're pending, and then it's time we're like, maybe I'm truly, and we spoke with this before, like maybe I'm truly not even ready for that next step. I kind of got to figure out some things in real time.
I'm saying we when it's me, motherfucker.
We spoke about this.
No, I'm we. You listened.
I facilitated it. But
your question, let him there.
No, you'll see. What you don't know is Q will present some profound stuff and forget his source.
My man's hashtag.
He's like, yeah, one time this wise person, who was the person? I was just on the phone for 3 hours. We just had this whole conversation.
Like I said, we took a lot. Yeah. But when life is pending, have you ever been in that point where it's like certain things you realize, oh no, this had to get fixed where I even was able to go to that next step properly. So you can speak about that, any situation that you had where it's like.
Absolutely. I think there were times where I was like, in a season of waiting. Like, so I did a lot of years of being in entrepreneurship, but in my time of being in entrepreneurship, I really, 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 with all my heart, thought that I was ready to do my corporate big girl job. So I'm like, okay, these are the seasons in which I saw it happening for myself. Like when I'm just graduated college and whatever. So to me, I'm like, okay.
2021.
Seriously.
I'm like, all of my credentials to me are lining up. Like my skill set, But to your point, the way God would have it is I had to wait. But in that waiting season, he prepped me, he crafted me, he made it so that when that moment did come, that I had spent all this time trying to work, right? Like trying to do it myself and applying to this place and asking this person to like network here and reference there. And so all of my works was just going to waste because that's not what he had for me in that season. Yeah. But when it was time, it was seamless. It was like getting a call back. It was like, okay, well, this process is very hard. I want you to know it's very competitive. Every time they said it's competitive, I'm like, okay, and
prepare.
Like, and just every step of the way, I took my hand off of it. I wasn't even no longer looking for a position at that time. So it was like when it came, it really came. And it really was in the industry that I wanted to be, really was doing the stuff that I had already done the work into. I had started my own clothing boutique before that even made me qualified. So if I would have did it when I wanted to, the clothing boutique never even would have been a thing. I would have never been able to see the growth in my own character to even arrive to that point. So it's like...
And the experience.
There you go.
I think that's the key to everything you just said. Like, that when we ask for it, it's happening. The what and the when. What we ask for is happening. When is to be determined, right? And it comes down to that preparation. It's like, you always can look back. If you ever go look at your goals from 5 years ago, you'll realize that you accomplished them last year. You know what I mean? In real time, you'll be like, yo, I wrote this in 2020 and now I accomplished it. And it's because you started to become refined in that season. And like, for instance, right? Like I always pray for better financial knowledge and understanding, right? Because as a constantly developing man, like I understand, like even when it comes to developing wealth is developed. It's not something that you just become. You don't become wealthy. It's literally a mindset, and then it's a bunch of habits and skill sets and that turn into assets that then generate wealth or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I always ask for that. And then we talk about this limbo season. It's like, I've been applying for spots right now. When I'm here, it's easy for me to push my resources, right? But where I'm at now, it's like that the protocol is a little different. So when I'm telling you, I'm applying for spot at the spot at the spot at the spot, it's something different every time. Oh, we need this document. We need that. I don't know. Just half of the stuff they ask me for. We need this. We need that. And it's like, we already know the 3 steps to getting approved is really just the background check, the income requirements, and then the credit, right? But for me, criminal record. So background check has always been something that hindered me in the past. Right. So I automatically, all right, then at one point, credit fluctuates. Sometimes I got good credit. Sometimes we ain't fixing it. We in a rebuilding season. And then income has always been something that I have, but I'm a hustler first. So it was verifying it, being on all of the different, it's like, I ain't really never had that all together. So going through this process, it forced me. I already started preparing myself. That's why it's so funny, because my habits already got better. Like I got way more responsible. I got way more started to prioritize. So that's been like a thing. But when I actually got approved in this season. It felt different because I looked and was like, I actually qualify for this spot that I had. Like, I didn't finesse in no way, shape, form, or fashion to get here. Like, I didn't get my homie to make this, or I didn't get this person to co-sign that, or I didn't get none of these things. It was like, no, like all of these denials prepared me, and it made me understand the process. Like, all right, let me actually get my tax returns. Let me actually, my credit was cool. Let me all right, cool, the credit part, all right, my credit already not popping up, but let me make sure I have all of these different things in order. And if I wouldn't have kept getting denied, I would have never did that. So when we think that God is halting us or we in this waiting period, it's like, no, you literally have to become the version of yourself that's qualified to get what you're asking for, or you're not going to be able to sustain it. So many people go after things that they can't maintain and sustain. And this is in every facet of life. You want to work a job that you're not qualified for. Like, you want to be the boss, but don't know what it takes to do that. You want to get into a relationship that turned into a marriage, but don't have the qualifications to carry that title and that responsibility and the obligation that come with it, because that's the only thing that separates it. It becomes a different level of obligation, not entitlement. We're talking about obligation and responsibility where it becomes a duty. Like, when you say and take these vows, it becomes your duty to do these things, so you don't have the leeway of just rushing. See, because I feel like a relationship is a relationship even inside of a marriage, right? If the relationship stink, the marriage gonna stink. But you don't realize that you're married until you're trying to get away from the relationship. See, the relationship, you can just walk away like, you know what, it's not working. When you marry, you know what I mean? That's one of the things that I got through observation of seeing how marriages come to a divorce. It's like, oh, it's easy to walk away from a relationship. It ain't easy to walk away from it. There's so many different variables. So you got to know these things going into it, which is why they say that when you tie the knot, the goal is to never untie the knot. But in the event that you do, you need to understand that. So become qualified. Like, I don't want to bear no title that I'm not qualified to carry. Like, I was a father before I was ready to be a father, but in those seasons, I understand fatherhood, and it's like, okay, now anytime I have more children, it's like, okay, yeah, I know for a fact I'm just knocking this out of the park. All of my relationships prepared me for everything. Like, when I tell you, I shedded so much skin through every level and every layer of every relationship, every dating experience. I don't understand why people hate dating. It's like, why would you not like dating, or not? Why would you feel like you had a 3-4 year relationship and it was wasted and you didn't get it because it didn't end the way you wanted it to end? You're just gonna disregard all of the other things you follow what I'm saying? When we talked about the being prepared, it's like, if you're not in a predicament to receive it and you do, you're gonna mess it up. You follow what I'm saying? So when we talk about you getting out of a relationship that you wasn't meant, you was never that thing that was blocking you was stopping you from getting all of the things. We hear people say, block your blessings, block your blessings. And these all sound like cliche common terms. It's a real thing. If you with a partner that don't have the same values and don't have the same mission, it's going to deter you from what you're trying to do. And in turn, it's blocking your blessing. Not because they have this ill will and this negative, what they call it, the evil eye and all of that. It don't mean that they literally don't want you to be blessed. It's literally that they are a roadblock. They don't always got to be somebody you dislike. It could be somebody you love a lot. This could be your soulmate that you think that you just can't get out of that toxic situation that been in this limbo phase for 9 years, but you see more and want more for yourself, but you just keep saying, oh, I want it with them, I want it with them, I want it with them. And we could choose the movie, but we can't always choose the cast. Sometimes the cast members going to change, but the plot got to stay the same and the end got to be the end, because ultimately that we know what we're going after. And, you know, just to land a plane on just getting out of your own way is sometimes it come down to that knowing, like, all right, you know what? I can't be afraid of what's on the other end of what this breakup might look like. I can't be afraid on what the other end of what leaving the job might look like. I can't be afraid of what's on the other end of getting rid of these friends. I can't be afraid of that, because if I really said that I have faith and I'm steadfast in my faith, it's going to come down to me saying, you know what, God, I don't know what it look like over there, but I'm going to trust that when I go over there, it's going to look familiar because you already prepared me and you already prepared it, or I wouldn't be over here. And that just all go back into the alignment and the flow of things. But, you know, just getting out of your own way and allowing that thing to be what it is.
Facts. And to piggyback off a few things both of you guys said, I remember years ago when I was like, I feel like I was looking at my 30s and older age. I was like, nah, I'm not about to make it. Like, I was like, I need to make a change quick, or I'm about to become a shell of myself as a man. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I always had like higher projections, higher aspirations, higher thoughts myself. And I was like, if I don't make a move now, I'm gonna run out of time. Mm-hmm. So at the time, I was like, I need to make a drastic change. That's how I got into the career and, you know, position I'm at now with the consulting and everything, whatever. And originally I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure out this shit where I'm gonna finesse and I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna make, at the time I really was like looking at like my bosses. I'm like, I don't know no bosses smarter than me. I don't know bosses that just know more shit than me. It's just, they got that and I got this. So go get it. So it really was like, and I remember I was working with people at the time with my friend, like, yo, like, I'm about to just I'm gonna try to get these 2 career paths. I never did this before. I don't know nobody in it. I'm gonna just go for it. I'm gonna apply to 1,000 jobs. I'm gonna do interviews, nonstop. And it started working. But to Wolf's point earlier, originally, like, I didn't surprise myself. I was like, no, I'm gonna get this shit. Like, anything I put my mind to, I'm gonna get it done. But once it happened, after a while, I kind of a little full of myself, and then like it was a burnout period, and I realized, oh yeah, I still wasn't fully qualified for
100%.
it. I still had to really refine myself, polish myself, sharpen on my skill set to sustain that new space, that new, world I was in, whatever, or it's going to be a flash of pain. I was back to where I started from, whatever. So after that, after some things fell out, I'm, lost a lot of shit, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I had to build it back up, whatever. And then I got to a point now, fast forward, where, like Wolf said, in 3 months, 4 jobs. Wolfman.
Cool, we working on it.
Yeah, Wolfman. But now I understand there's no longer finessing or lying or making something that's not what it is. Like, no, I'm fully skilled. I'm fully who I say who I am, and now I can provide these skill sets and expertise actually, and it is what it is now, and it's all fully sustainable. So that was like a really full transition period.
Y'all talking real good.
No, 2 things. I had one thing I was gonna comment. Then you just said where you landed. I want to start real quick. We talk about like people will finesse their way to success, right? But I always say every corner you cut gonna come back to cut you.
Yourself.
You're finessing yourself. You literally cutting out your experience. You cutting the corner is cutting out that wisdom. It's cutting out that knowledge. It's cutting out that development that it takes for you to become who you need to be able to sustain. And it's like we always talk about sustainability, and it's like, dog, it's taking the steps. When we hear about the steps, it's not literally, it's metaphorically, right? The steps is the actual steps that it take to become who you trying to be. So when you get there and say, you know what, I was actually able to do this, I qualify, versus just getting thrusted into a role, thrusted into a position. And now you don't have that wisdom. You don't have that experience. You don't have that wherewithal where to pull from. You don't have the tools in your toolbox because you skipped them. And it's like so many people on a fast track success. Oh, how can I do this? It's like, oh, you don't want to do that. You want it to be where it's like, how can I take the appropriate route so that when I get there, like if I'm in a gym, I don't want to start at 250. I want to work my way up. So when I take it off the weight, that weight not going to crash down on my chest.